Hello everyone, this is your yearly dose of Minimap. Happy New Year! Hope you've had a great one and you're about to have an even better one. I decided to take a bit of time off of other people's videos just for this month, so I could try to make something for myself, because I've wanted for a while to make another one of these like narrated essay-ish type of videos, just to see what I can do and how I tackle this kind of project after a few more years of experience with editing. I basically just wanted to talk about some of the games I've played this year, like kind of in a journal-ish type way. So it's not going to be a crazy essay where we take a deep dive on some hidden lore. It's also not going to be this mastercraft of a thought-provoking video essay, like I'm nowhere near scruffy or funk. I use the good old outdated Sony Vegas Pro, and the only thing I can find in Blender is the X button. And without just blaming my tools, I'm just not that experienced with script writing and all that stuff, so. But if you're looking for game recommendations, new, old, no matter the genre, you might end up finding something you'd enjoy in this video. So treat it more like a basic review of 41 games that I've played this year and that I wanted to talk about. I hope you enjoy, and feel free to let me know what you think about the video or the games I've recommended, and feel free to recommend more even. So without further ado, let's start with the first game that really badly got me hooked this year. Imagine you're playing Minecraft, but every block you break, every tool you use, and every too big of a movement you make takes away a bar of your hunger. And the only food you can get yourself barely gives you any of it back. And that food supply is pretty limited, so you can't eat all of it without fucking up your world in the long term. So you try growing your own, but you have to worry about where you plant it, and it's gonna take at least a full real-life day to grow. Sounds fun? Well, welcome to Eco. As anti-gamer as it sounds, Eco is actually a really chill experience that you kind of have to treat as a daily MMO rather than a survival game. The point of it is that you have to work as a community to evolve through technology, starting in the Stone Age, to go all the way to building a giant laser to destroy the meteor that's about to crash into the earth. So you kind of pick a role and roll with it. You create your own facilities, you produce your own products, and you trade with the community for the resources necessary for you to fulfill your own roles. After giving into the FOMO, I joined Flash's community server as a farmer, ended up playing for like 8 hours in a row on the first day. I will say, having to play a role and fill a need in the community is a hell of a stimulant, and the game does have great systems so you can make yourself useful whether you're online or not, such as these little shops you can make, in which you can set your trades and have your own personal currency. Eco can get pretty in depth, as you usually can make multiple cities if you're in a big server, all with different policies, leaders, economies even, but community servers being community servers, ours did die after a few weeks. But for what it's worth, I still really enjoyed my time since it let me meet new people within the community, having to cooperate and trade with them to accomplish stuff the game just doesn't let you do all by yourself. And in that way, it's a really well built social game. It's also very chill, letting me mindlessly grind while I listen to music or watch streams on my other monitor. Overall, it's a pretty solid community strengthening game. It's not too chory to drive you away, and it keeps you engaged while you progress your city as a community. I'd definitely hop on it again if we do another community server type thing. Next on the list is Wizard with a Gun. Do you need more explanations? You enter a desolate landscape as a... You kill creatures and monsters with your... Which is imbued with magic because you're a... The game is based on doing runs where you go in, collect resources, slay a boss, and get out alive with your loot. Those resources let you craft new guns, new spells, and items, but also new buildings that let you craft even more stuff. Now the gameplay itself is more than fine. The spell variations are nice, the combat is crisp, mastering it was satisfying. Bosses are challenging without being unfair, and throughout my 7 hours of playtime, I still haven't felt like I was stuck anywhere, so the progression was pretty nicely streamlined. I'm only a bit disappointed that the game felt like it got repetitive pretty quick. Seeing the spell crafting trees for the first time made me go like, whoa, that's a lot of things to unlock, but all of those spells kind of just boil down to shoot thing, but cooler and stronger and bigger number. In the end, no matter what spell you're using, all you kind of do is just shoot gun. I'd love to just have more tools at my disposal to feel more like an actual wizard rather than just an elemental gunslinger. Maybe time control to make dodging attacks easier, bullet recalling, recover ammo and do damage in the process, elemental shields that empower the bullets of that type, just more wizardry in general. But in the end, it was still a fun and cozy gather, shooter, extractor type game that I definitely can see myself revisiting, especially with the amount of updates they've added and the new co-op mode. CATO is a puzzle platforming game that I found during the first Steam Next Fest of this year. Remember that one meme about the cat always landing feet first and the toast always landing butter side down? Meaning combining both makes an infinite kinetic energy source that will never touch the ground? Well, it's that, but movement as a game. Here, the cat can move, but it can't jump on its own, while the toast can jump, but it can't move. So when you stick them together, you get your full movement, but there's a lot of zones and switches that will require them to be separated, so you'll have to plan ahead in order to get your solution to work. So when the full game finally came out in September, I was really happy to get to finally play the complete CATO experience, and honestly, it was lovely. I love the retro shader they used to make everything look like it's both 2D and 3D at the same time. The movement and animations are smooth, fluid, and the cat feels great to control, especially when combined with the toast. And with the mechanics being so fast and responsive, it makes it so you're never really struggling with the platforming aspect of it, and you get to focus fully on the puzzles. And as you progress through the levels, more and more of those mechanics get added to the puzzles. You've got character-specific switches, cannons, tubes, clones, play-switching drones, follower cats, so much new stuff that all have their own way of making you think, introducing new ways to tackle a problem while also creating new problems for you to solve. But with every new mechanic added, you get a few levels to just test it out, see what it entails, how it interacts with the current existing mechanics, and how you can use it to your advantage, so you're never thrown in the deep end. I highly recommend getting this game if it interests you at all, considering how much content it offers and how much charm it oozes for the low price it asks. It's a short, cozy, cute game that'll make you think without you getting stuck anywhere for too long. There's only one good social deduction game out there. The concept is simple. One manager, some slackers, and a whole bunch of regular employees called specialists. Specialists do tasks, slackers sabotage stuff, manager tries to figure out who's who. Simple. Then what makes it so unique and so much more fun, in my opinion, than other social deduction games? First of all, the unconventional setting of a boring regular ass office. No more guns, knives, killing, and backstabbing. No more murderous aliens or shape-shifting tricksters or terrifying monsters. You're all a bunch of regular Joes stuck in this small office space pretending to do work. This down-to-earth setting, in my opinion, leads to way more fun, organic roleplay moments, creating videos worth of absurd storylines or comedic situations, pretty much every round, especially with all the random stuff you can do on the computers, like painting images or printing notes or sending death threats to your coworkers from the boss's PC. It feels way less try-hardy than all of the other social deduction games, since instead of just trying to spot every other person's movement to make sure no one's out of line, you're just trying to make your own The Office episode. Second of all, the power of eliminating someone being relinquished entirely to one person makes the game dynamic a lot different and way more interesting in my opinion. Where in other games, anyone can kill each other, or only imposters can kill innocents, Dawson only lets the manager fire other people. Asterisk. This is a perfect catalyst for interesting scenarios where people might try to befriend the manager too much, or where a story might get manipulated on the way to the manager's ears, or where the manager might not even be able to trust anyone's retelling of the events. Again, sprouting a lot of storylines and roleplay potentials and just funny moments in general. I hope the game keeps getting updates and ideally even mod support, because the base game that's been created here is a great sandbox for content, and adding extra shit to do on the computers, more tasks to have variety, or even just more random things to do in the office that help with the roleplay aspect of the game would be great for it long term. And obviously the quality of the time you'll have with this game is highly dependent on how funny your friend group is or how lucky you are with randoms, so I'd only recommend it if you've already got a squad to play with or the patience to deal with the butter sweaters that already plague the public lobbies. But if that's the case, then this content factory is well worth its $10 tag. Cyberhook is another example of a game that's built a wonderful base. The movement is fluid, the grappling hook makes you go fast, the speed is well represented, and flying around with it feels amazing. You've got quite a few controls at your disposal. The hook can be attached, you can reel it, you can jump to detach from it and gain some extra height, you can double jump, and you can shoot to either destroy blocks, kill enemies, or activate switches. You can also slow down time, which extends your hook range at the cost of not slowing down your actual level timer, meaning holding it too long can lock you out of the time requirements if you want full completion. The variety of level the game offers makes you use all of these mechanics in different ways, along with giving you multiple routes to get to the end depending on your playstyle and skill level. You can always follow the intended path, or come up with some shortcuts, or if you're on fucking cocaine like the top leaderboard players, you can just skip the whole level using like 2 platforms. My favorite levels are the very open ones that let you zoom through them and that feel great to traverse since let you build up ridiculous speed and use it to barrel towards the end goal. Those are very fun. Now imagine if we did none of that. Now I know those tighter corridor type levels are a different kind of challenge, and I'm sure managing to zoom through those feel very rewarding, but for the average player, it just slows the game down a lot. But if you ignore these dreadful levels though, the game in general is a blast. It's an easy to learn, but hard to master speedrunning platformer that I even boot up just to mess around in the lobby every now and then. The $17 price tag might be a bit steep considering I've 100%ed it in less than 8 hours, but it frequently goes under $5, so I highly recommend it if you're into movement-based games like Titanfall 2 or Ultra Kill, and you want something to scratch that go fast itch in your brain. SUPERVIVE is another one of the games I've discovered through Steam Next Fest. If you like battle royales, and, like me, you're a degenerate, this might be right up your alley. It's a hybrid of both genres in which you'll drop in, kill enemies to level up, open vaults to get new abilities or armor, and stay in the circle to survive, all while fighting other squads in the meantime. Like any good MOBA, it has those tropes of fuck this character for being OP, fuck this character for just winning by rolling their face on their keyboard, and fuck this character for literally being playable with one hand. At least in general, with a 4-man squad format, those characters are usually pretty counterable, and any fight can go pretty much either way. The combat is fast, snappy, satisfying, and addictive. With every character being somewhat squishy, fights can turn around really quick, especially with the spike mechanic that can easily throw a game away if you're not being careful. Although, I am a bit worried about this game's longevity, as new battle royales don't tend to last very long in terms of popularity. The game has already lost the vast majority of its player base, and while I'd love to see it stay alive naturally, it really needs to pick up the pace in terms of engagement and updates. The free-to-play model definitely helped its popularity for how niche the MOBA BR market might be, and the roadmap they gave does look somewhat promising. I just think it might come in a bit too late. I'd still recommend giving it a try considering it's free and it's fun, but just be aware that you'll probably end up against people who've kept playing and playing, even if most of the player base stopped. 20 Small Mazes is a neat, cozy, creative little puzzle game that takes less than an hour to complete and is very enjoyable, so play it if you ever have that time to kill. Tribes of Midgard was alright for what it was, but I think it made me discover what I hate the most in these kinds of games: multiplayer open world traversal. Between wanting to explore everything, everyone having different exploration speeds, and having someone die while the rest have to wait for them to catch up, it just made the game twice as slow as it should have been and really tarnished our experience. The combat was alright though. Step by Step is a solo dev's love letter to those getting over it type games like Pogo Stuck. And if you're looking to get pissy at a rage-inducing platformer game, then this might just work for you. We sunk a good amount of hours into 7 Days to Die, only to realize how tedious and unoptimized the late game phase is. Even with the levels and the gear to tackle the higher tier POIs, it's really more about whether or not your PC can handle the thousands of AI the game is about to throw at you. It just feels like you have to cheese these spots, because instead of making the locations more dangerous or difficult to traverse, or adding better and stronger, cooler enemies, the devs simply added a few zeros to the zombie spawn count. Hordes in my zombie game? Listen, I know how it sounds, but I'd be more fine with it if every single individual zombie didn't take 1 FPS each from your game. Ultra Kill dropped another banger chapter with banger music, a banger level design. It's a banger, go play Ultra Kill, this is no longer a suggestion. In the middle of the sea of simulator game slop, Supermarket Together really doesn't stand out that much other than the fact that it's free and multiplayer. So we played it, it's alright, the card is fun. Yeah. I grabbed Luck Be a Landlord on sale when I first learned about Balatro, since I wanted a similar gambling roguelike experience for a bit cheaper, and it was honestly a decent time killer. I do feel like there's some builds that are clearly stronger and easier to win with than others, but that doesn't necessarily make the game bad. Finally, Web Fishing surprised me with how popular it got for being such a small and simple game, but honestly sometimes all you need is a cozy game where mostly nothing happens, so you can sit down with friends and just chat. Very enjoyable and a cheap little grind fest you can play with friends or solo while watching other stuff on your second monitor. Are you looking for a different music game that's not based entirely on EDM? Are you tired of your rhythm games sounding too good? Ever dreamt of being able to play the trombone without having to carry an inconveniently massive piece of brass? Boy, do I have the game for you. Trombone Champ is a one-click rhythm game where you control the pitch of your trombone by moving your mouse up and down, then click and hold to play the notes. Very simple to learn, yet so hard to master. The game has plenty of difficulty settings and tracks to make it so that you can technically get all of its achievements without having to full combo the equivalent of Through the Fire and the Flames. Because let me tell you, some of those songs are actually really difficult even with how basic the game seems at first. The game has a little story attached to it that's a bit convoluted and hidden behind confusing puzzles. At least it's completely optional, but half of the achievements and all of the cosmetic unlocks are tied to it, so if you care about your trombone looking different or having a funky sound font, then either enjoy figuring it out or do what I did and just shamelessly look up a Steam guide. Overall though, a very silly and quirky rhythm game with a lot of charm to it that I highly recommend if you think it's worth the price. Mods do exist to make it multiplayer and have custom songs, as rhythm games usually do, so if you're worried about the content quantity, there's plenty of it available. I grabbed it when it was pretty cheap during the Steam Rhythm Fest, along with the next game. Sayonara Wild Hearts is to the rhythm game genre what the platypus is to the mammal family. Like, yeah, sure, it fits the definition. You do have to hit some buttons to the beat, but you're also adding some extra parts here and there. You have freedom of movement to dodge attacks, you're firing back, you're driving a car. The game is basically an auto-scroller where you move your character around to pick up little hearts, big hearts, and hard metals to build up a combo, then avoid crashing or getting hit to maximize your score. Occasionally you'll have to hit a QTE or even shoot back, but in general, you're really not doing that much gameplay wise, which is why I'm surprised that I found this game so fucking good. Most of the levels feel like an actual music video with some sick sequences and visuals. They all feel very unique even if the themes stay similar and integrate their own gimmicks really neatly. On one level you're timing jumps, on the next you're going through portals, on this one you're jumping between parallel dimensions. There's a lot of creativity poured into these and I love it. And as for the music, as much as a lot of it isn't exactly my style, it ended up really growing on me after playing and replaying their respective levels. There's a great variety of tracks that are really well represented by their gameplay counterpart. Some remix of Clair de Lune plays while you're learning the game's controls as your character gets transported to this other world. Then it picks up as you barrel down the street on a bike. Later you're vibing cruising through an empty highway, or you're in this trance-like state while you're inside a VR headset. I don't even know. This game nailed the vibes in every single level, and it would be a great ride if they didn't send you back to the level select every time you finish one. I find it a real shame that, in my opinion, the best way to enjoy this game, which is the album arcade mode that lets you play through all of the levels in one go, is locked behind completing all the levels once. Because if you're like me and you see the words bronze rank appear after completing a level, you know damn well you're running it back to get to the gold score. But in retrospect, I feel like it would have been way better for the game flow and my own enjoyment if I just got to play through the whole game first, without worrying about ranks, then replay through the levels individually to grind for those medals. But granted, the whole premise of the game being an auto-scroller, there's definitely some score quotas you cannot obtain without either being lucky or knowing which paths to take beforehand, which means the intended experience is to replay a level over and over to figure out the best possible path, but I still think that should be a post-game experience personally. It didn't make me hate the game though. I still find it a visually stunning rhythm game with a banger soundtrack that I highly recommend you experience if you get the chance. Legally Distinct Bloodborne Kart is not something I expected to play this year, but it was free and I was bored, so I decided why not give it a whirl. And honestly, play it, man. It's not perfect and it's a little janky, but it's a solid kart racer compared to the rest of the slop we get served on PC. The driving physics are great, the items are fun, the story mode is nice and offers decent game of variety, and the game in general seems to have a lot of love poured into it. On some tracks you're running over skeletons and rats to gather blood so you can go faster, on other ones you're drifting around tight corners to keep your momentum, and this one is just a battle mode from Mario Kart, but it's actually team deathmatch, and there's even actual boss fights. I did have a few gripes when I first played it, like AI just getting stuck on walls repeatedly, but they've already fixed pretty much everything through updates, so I'm still really recommending it if you want a quick little fun arcade racer. The only thing this masterpiece really needs is multiplayer, and maybe just more tracks in general, and then we'll never need Mario Kart to actually ever come to PC. And that's it. That's all the games I played this year. Ignore that. So my initial plan was to just make this one big long 1 hour video, but turns out after a pretty slow month of just working on it and freezing my only source of income, it just didn't feel worth to keep working on just this video. So I decided to just put my foot down and start releasing it in parts instead so I can keep working on other videos in the meantime. And this should be part 1 out of 3. As to when the other 2 parts are gonna come out, I won't pretend like I can't tell you, but I mean, hopefully before next year. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure you're either subscribed or in my Discord where I'll post the announcement whenever it's out. But either way, thanks for watching this part, I really hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Soon. Ish.